Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bedomy and this is Raft, a game developed by Red Interactive and published by Axolot Games, whom you might know as well, I'm not sure if they're developers, but they did publish Scrap Mechanic, which is a first-person construction game as well. I say as well, but Raft is a first-person survival game, first and foremost, and then a construction game. I mean, there is a construction mode here where you can just construct the raft to your own personal preference, but the main goal of the game and the main feature is the survival. Well, I won't call it survival. It's more I'll show you when we get there. But the basic premise of the game is the world is flooded, and you and occasionally a couple of friends can survive on a raft which you're constructing, and you have to grow your own crops, gather food and other resources to survive and construct a better and bigger raft in itself. As you can see, the game will feature some rafts from other players for you to enjoy while you're trying to choose what to do in the game itself. For starters, I'm just gonna go with the options menu itself and show you what the game has to offer in terms of settings. So let's not dilly dally too much and take a look. As you can see, this is the options menu, which has four separate categories, and every one of them is every one of these groups offers you quite a bit of customization when it comes to options. As you can see here, you can choose a language, and the game has frozen, but it's a fairly decent selection here. You can you can choose your data privacy. I won't open it right now because it opens a website. It goes to the website of the game, so I'm not going to go there. It tends to crash the game or bugs the game out, so I have to restart it. Also, you can turn off name tags, quick building, enable helpful UI, auto saving, and motion sickness mode, as well as chat and inverted mouse controls. But I would recommend that you turn this bloody thing off. It works in certain games, but for first-person shooters, that's kind of necessary in my opinion. That you want your head and body to turn in the direction you're moving your mouse usually. So that might be just me, but I don't know. Some people prefer it that way. Some people prefer the inverted. Anyway, in the control section, you can adjust the mouse sensitivity, and again, invert the up and down looking with the mouse. You can toggle sprint to just press it once and run, and also rebind multiple actions to separate keys, which is always good. I can't stress this enough, but developers, when you port a console game to a PC, separate your multiple actions from a single key binding, or at the very least create a different binding for different actions. I mean, just look at I'm going to go with the latest, well, not the latest, but the first thing that comes to mind right now is Sleeping Dogs and Batman. Those games were primarily made for consoles, and they have running, jumping, dodging, and also hiding behind cover, all bound to one single key, which is rather annoying because if I'm trying to jump away from or dodge from an opponent and I'm near a wall, my character will simply glue himself to the wall and get killed, which can be really annoying in every situation. So I'm glad that the dev team created separate key bindings for separate actions. Some things can be bound to a single key, like opening and closing a certain part of the UI, such as the notebook or hiding and showing the UI itself. That makes sense. So you can bind certain actions to a certain key, but most of the gameplay, active gameplay options should be separated from each other. That's what I'm trying to say. And on the graphical side of things, you can choose from the resolution, overall quality of the game world, and shadow quality and other visual effects. You can turn off anti-aliasing and VSync, and you can choose the resolution and the full screen mode to your personal preference. As for the audio, chef's kiss here. Every volume is separated, it has its own slider, and you can also adjust the timing between music tracks. This is a options menu done perfectly, in my opinion. So with that, with the settings gone, let's take a look at the premise of the game itself. I said already in the intro, but the game is pretty much it's not sailing. It's not a sailing simulator. It's what's the name of the? This is a name for people who are stranded. Let's go for that. It's a stranded simulator mostly. You have to. You're stuck on a small raft. You can expand it by collecting wood and other materials that you come across while floating around, and you have to manage your thirst and hunger meter, which is somewhat annoying if you ask me, but thankfully the game offers a creative mode. This is where you can just build things. And as the game goes, you can collect additional characters, which will unlock you can unlock additional characters as the story progresses. And you can customize them to a small degree, all things considered. So for now, I'm just going to go with one of the two main characters, Rui, and his sister Maya is also with him. And canonically speaking, those two are the main survivors, or the main characters of the whole story. The notebook suggests that Rui here is the main character because actually, I'm going to show you. Let's just get into the game itself and show you. So this is a small, just a quick description so you can. Okay, let's try this again. The game features a multiplayer mode where one player acts as the server for the rest of his teammates. And as you can see, you have 3 different options. You can invite your friends, you can play solo, or you can just keep your server open. One problem with that is since the game doesn't have a dedicated server, if you're the one hosting, you will have to rehost the server again if you're playing with friends. This is because you're saving the world on your PC, and then if someone else tries to host, you'll have to start the whole game over again. So I created just one. Actually, let me just demonstrate what I'm talking about here. This is when you start a new world, you can choose between creative mode, which is just unlimited supplies and health, and allowing you to. Well, you can read, but it ignores the survival mechanics and just lets you build the raft to your own personal preference. Peaceful mode is the easiest mode of all. It requires some. It activates the survival mechanics, but it reduces them to I won't say to a standstill. You still have to. Manage your hunger and thirst, and also have to deal with animals that are attacking you, and everything else to the right is just a more difficult version of the, which is a bit more difficult version of the game itself. I would recommend that you play this on normal for the first time with your friends at the very least, because it does. The game does require some coaching. Let's put it like that. Not coaching, but the game does require teamwork. It's the best. It's best enjoyed with friends and in a peaceful environment. Let's let's call it that. Okay, I'll show you the. There we go. Let's go into the creative mode itself, just to show you how the game works. So, as you can see, welcome to the Raft. I'm currently building on my own. I usually play with a friend of mine on his server, but for the sake of this video, I kind of went and just opened a little creative world where I can build up my own raft to my own specifications. As you can see, this is a raft I currently built. It's still a work in progress, unfortunately. I only managed to build up the first the basement, let's call it that. As you can see, there's a little shark there swimming around. He always follows the raft and tries to break it apart in order to get to the survivors. He will attack you if you're in the water, but this is creative mode, so he's gonna ignore you and just follow you. But yeah, as the game goes, you construct items and other and collect supplies in order to survive. As you can see, I'm currently just building up my raft to get some to make a home for myself, put nicely. As you can see, I created a nice little basement area, and I'm going to start building. I'll start building a second floor, which is going to be the kitchen, I think. This is a nice part of the game. Depending on how many supplies, how many construction materials you gather, you will have to construct your own shelter as well as your own crafting materials and other necessities. For example, the raft I'm building with a friend is more or less divided into two separate sections. One is dedicated solely to gathering materials, while the other one is oriented towards farm animals, which are currently I don't think they're available in this mode of play, but it is recommended that you have a it is recommended that you have a reinforced raft altogether, because once the shark starts biting in, you will have a hard time getting rid of him, depending on the difficulty. That is, you can kill the shark and get rid of him for a few minutes, but he always comes back. And depending on which weapons you have on hand, for example, I'm going to construct one of those weapons just to demonstrate. So this is This is a machete or a cutlass. In this case, as you can see, it can be used to defend yourself against wild animals that are attacking you, such as the shark and wild boars, mutated rats, and whatnot that you come across. But the basic premise of the game is build your own raft, and then try to focus on growing crops and other necessities in order to get yourself out of a tough situation. For example, I'm just gonna build a few crops here. So let's see. Yeah, let's go with a purifier. Let's build a purifier. There we go. So as you can see, the game requires that the game has multiple mechanics that you have to pay attention to. You have to pay attention to your thirst, your hunger, as well as your health. And you also have to manage different constructions you create, or the constructions the game lets you create, in order to keep yourself alive. So if you're thirsty, you need to drink water, which is pretty normal, but you have to construct the items that will keep you going. For example, I need to construct a battery in order to activate the purifier. Well, this is an advanced purifier that works on electricity, but I need to once I give it a battery, I need to create a way of actually recharging the said battery if I want to work with this for a longer period of time. So as you can see, there is also you also have an inventory which can be expanded with the usage of backpacks and other items. And the funny thing is, you cannot spam the inventory with double backpacks, but you can create quite a lot of useful gear if you need be, especially if you're playing with friends. So for now, I'm just gonna construct a small battery charger here, and I can rotate it, which I can rotate in order to get the. I can rotate it to get additional power and resupply my mechanical needs to my heart's content. So yeah, everything requires a certain level of interaction. So, for example, if I'm since I have a water gathering facility here, might as well position my crops here. And anyway, you can where's the piping? There we go. As you can see, I can build up I can build a water tank as well as a... Oh. Oh dear. Yeah, you need to manage your... You should pay attention to where you position what, since this might happen. But depending on which items you have on hand and what purpose do they serve, you can always remove bigger items and reposition them somewhere else, as you can see. At the moment I'm just placing things. Oh. Oh my, okay, this is so ineffective. But yeah, as you can see, I can build up quite an operation, and I didn't get this far in survival with a friend, so I'm kind of screwing things up here. But if you position yourself right, if you position your items right, you can add a sprinkler system here, and that will water your crops once you start planting seeds for them, and you can have a food supply pretty quickly. Just be careful that you don't plant your crops in the open where birds can get to it and attack them or destroy them. So that's why you need to build a wall and a different set of traversal traversal items. Yeah, let's go with that. Basically, depending on what you actually, let's go to the main menu and just show you what I'm talking about. So since I don't have any what's the word? I don't have any worlds where I just survived. I'm just going to build a new one just to show you how the survival mechanics work. But the general idea is to craft your own raft and then work with that as the game progresses. But don't think this game is perfect. If you're not a fan of survival games, you will not enjoy yourself. Especially when the bugs kick in. Excuse me, I'm just waiting for for the loading to finish. Sometimes the game crashes mid-load, so I'm just looking if I should Alt-Tab and restart it or not. But when the game constructs a new world, it takes it takes quite some time. So I think we're good. But yeah, as I said, the game has a few bugs, unfortunately. One of the said bugs is just the things fall through the floor, or they get destroyed once you exit the game for one reason or the other, unfortunately. So it happened to me, actually, on several occasions. I managed to get a rare crafting material, had to leave for a few minutes, and then the game just saved the game and everything, and left, and next time I came back, the crafting component was gone, and my... Oh, fuck. And so was my... I won't say happy, but so was my happy face. But yeah, this is the main part of the game. Actually, as you can see, you have to gather floating floating items in order to construct portions, additional parts for the raft, and you have to manage your movement and item and inventory carefully, because you cannot afford to lose the raft. If the raft's gone, you're shark food, more or less. You cannot construct the new boards and just save yourself. For some weird reason, the game will automatically. Well, my guess is you should be able to do it, but from what I gather, the game won't let you do it. Unfortunately, or maybe it will, but there's a bug that prevents you from doing so. I mean, logically speaking, you should be able to construct. Some extra. You can construct extra space, but unfortunately, you cannot construct it anywhere. It has to be adjacent to other. It has to be adjacent to other areas of the map, of the raft itself. As you can see, I'm currently just building up on my raft as it is, so that when the shark decides to attack me, I have some space to move around, as well as build. So as you can see, in your inventory, you can spend materials to construct weapons, armor, and other necessities, such as a construction hammer, a pickup hook, which allows you to grab items that are out of reach. Otherwise, you'll have to deal with the shark's attacks as he swims around and tries to kill you. Yeah, I'm not going to tempt fate, because if I get killed, I'm, well, dead. Well, in multiplayer, that's not the case. And if you get quote unquote killed, your friends can still resurrect you by picking you up and throwing you onto a nearby bed, which is shouldn't be as dirty as it sounds, but let's go with that. The game will ask you to save your friends by playing it. You have to save your friends by dragging them out of the ocean and then carrying them close to the nearby, the nearest bed. As you can see, the shark is attacking periodically, so I need to move carefully when I'm in the water. You can deal with the shark. You can deal with the shark if you're intelligent about it. So if you know where to park your raft, you can actually avoid the shark and just get on top of the island, because the shark will stick close to the raft itself. At the moment, I cannot stop the raft, so I have to be quick about things I do, such as gathering watermelons, which are food supplies, and yeah, as you can see, I need to be quick. The shark's coming. Oh, crap. But yeah, as you can see, I need to I need to play my cards intelligently here. Attack the shark when he starts attacking the raft itself. I can repair it if need be. And I can also construct additional parts for the raft itself. Once you get metal, you can actually reinforce it, as you already saw in the construction part of the video. But for the time being, you're just stranded and you have to float around and hope that you can get some items for yourself. So as you can see, you also have a journal which you can open to your heart's content in order to read up on the lore, as well as check the coordinates and some other journal entries when you find them. Sometimes you'll find notes from other survivors, which will be read to you as an audio journal of sorts. And some islands will also give you access to additional characters depending on where you are, and well, depending on how far in the game you are. At the moment, I'm just picking up the pieces. So, actually, let's move on a bit. I mean, we can't move on with this. We're stuck here as it is. But as the game progresses, it becomes easier and easier. You can also kill the shark. As you saw, he will periodically attack the area, so you can fairly quickly, well, not quickly, but if there's more of you, you can pretty quickly injure him to an extent that he is forced to abandon his attack or by the way, if you see barrels or crates floating around, go for them. They're usually they usually have a lot of useful items for you. And try to build up your items as quickly as possible. So don't think you'll drift around aimlessly for an eternity. As the game progresses, you will gather supplies as well as blueprints and other as well as other construction material that will allow you to create steering wheels, engines, as well as masts, which can be used to navigate throughout the area relatively quickly. But when you start, you're stuck with basic essentials such as plain wood, plastic, and some metal scraps. But as the time goes on, you can actually construct more advanced versions of anything you might need. As I said, sometimes the game will glitch out and certain objects and characters will pass through something that's apparently impassable, but at the moment that's not happening. So as you can see, this is the survival part of the game, where you have to purify water for yourself and then and drift along until you find the next island you can rummage through. And that's pretty much the game itself. You will encounter sharks and other hostile creatures that want you dead. And you also have to manage your thirst and hunger, as well as the breakable items that you have on your person. So weapons, axes, hooks. All this has those are finite resources, so they will break eventually. So the early game is probably the hardest part of the raft itself. It's islands are randomly generated, so you're kind of stuck until you come across another one. But thankfully, the game's logic, at the very least, allows you to gather multiple items with a single hook shot. As you just saw, I managed to pick up a barrel as well as the leaf. Come on, you ugly sod. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you're not a fan of survival games, this is something you can pass freely. Especially if you're playing with people who are not very... how should I say? If you're playing with people who aren't very used to using forethought, or don't think several steps in advance. With these games, you kind of have to plan your moves and where you're going. For example, I'm currently... well, I'm not low on supplies, but still, I'm not going to waste my entire inventory on garbage that I'm picking up. I need to be careful as what I pick up at the start, and then reinforce the... oh, you are not taking this. And then reinforce the raft as it builds up. And that's the whole game, in all its glory. You need to find collectible items to construct additional parts or navigational equipment, and certain items can only be found by taking a risk and fighting specific enemies. There's a pufferfish that explodes and poisons you, but it also gives you gunpowder for some weird reason. So yeah, killing that thing is anything but fair, because you have to get close and punch it, and that thing self-destructs on the very moment it notices there's someone near it. So you have to play a weird version of chicken in order to get the thing, to kill the thing. But yeah, as you can see, whenever you're floating along, or just building, you will at least have some nice time relaxing while listening to the music and cruising along, let's put it like that. So yes, this is the Raft. Is it fun? Yeah, if you're playing with friends and goofing around a bit, it can be a lot of fun. But if you're soloing, I would recommend that you play this on easier, or, well, play on a difficulty that you're comfortable with, and play with at least two or three people with you in the party, because one person who makes terrible decisions will just annoy you. I mean, one friend that I'm playing with rarely thinks things through, and he just wastes resources on whatever it comes to, whatever he thinks it might look cool. I mean, the guy wasted all the... In the early game, the guy managed to waste most of our very limited copper in order to build a unusable piece of equipment. No, it wasn't even equipment, it was furniture. The guy basically wasted what little resources we had, and then said, it didn't even apologize. He said, it'll be fine. 5 seconds in, the shark came in, destroyed the section of the boat where he placed the stupid thing, and his piece of furniture was gone, and he was furious. So yeah, there is that entertainment factor. If your friend is making stupid decisions, he gets punished for it later down the line, or you can just bring an axe to it and destroy it yourself. But yeah, I would recommend that you play this with someone who knows how to think things through before he takes reckless action. Who doesn't take reckless actions? Because if the raft is destroyed, you cannot rebuild it, and you cannot build anything else. You cannot build things on land, unfortunately. So, as I mentioned already, if the shark attacks a tile with items on it, those items will be gone if the tile is destroyed. So, try to reinforce the raft whenever you can and have the materials for it. Otherwise, hope that the RNG deities of your choice are with you, and that you will come across an island that you can visit. Because, as you can see, I'm currently stuck on a small raft without much without too many things to do. I mean, I can create a small grill which can be used to cook food, and actually let's try planting some things here. Let's cook something, water the crops, and wait. Good thing about small rafts is you can quickly access most of your things relatively quickly, but there's also the problem of losing things, because the shark's gonna attack pretty quickly. Not to mention that there are birds that will try to destroy the crops because they're trying to eat them. So yeah, try to be mindful of what you're doing. And also, as you saw, if you collect blueprints, you will learn how to construct additional navigational or other necessities. So be careful of how you navigate through the world. Hey Bruce, piss off. There we go. So yeah, these are the basic rules of the game. Eat well, cook your food, and purify as often as possible. And if you think the game will give you anything easily, you're sadly mistaken. Damn it. As you saw, I thought I could get that last barrel, but no. I was sorely mistaken. But yeah, this is the raft. You have to manage your inventory, manage your items, and hope that your ship survives long enough until you dock somewhere else. And also, the tides will always shift the things you want away from you. So try to try to be economical with your storage. There we go. We have an anchor, so when we manage to dock, we'll be able to stop the raft and actually harvest what we need rather quickly. And it about sums the whole game up, I think. And yeah, I think I've been bothering you guys with the game long enough. But as you can see, as the game progresses, you can collect some minor collectibles so that you can use as, who knows what. I'll say who knows what, but you can use them as it's not. You can use them as furniture or other decorations to make your raft more homely, but you should prioritize walls and reinforcements and crops so that you can stay alive for long enough to win. Well, yeah, there is an end goal in the game, but your priority is always survival first, and then see what happens. Anyway, guys, my name has been Bedomy. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Good night.